Hi, this is Vishal Saxena, 2021 MT12299. This recording is for blockchain assignment. Now, this is a very simple program for the certificate management system for universities, students, employees, and other certification agencies. Now, as you can see, what I have done here is I have created a sample contract, and that is certificate contract. Now, in this case, I've created a counter variable, which is cert count, which would keep the counter of all the contracts, all the certificates that have been added. There is a enum of state, which would be pending, approved, and declined. So basically, we would be providing the functionality of the authorities to put in the certificates and then mark them as approved or declined. Now, I have to basically specify the structure of the certificate. Now, as you can see, the structure struct certificate would contain the ID, the encrypted data, because we do not want the uh, data to be lying in plain text, and this data would then be encrypted using the private key of the issuing authorities and can be decrypted using the public key circulated by those particular issuing authorities. Then basically we have the time when this particular certificate is created and then the state. Now I have created a simple mapping to basically expose these certificates using the string ID. Now in the constructor, here I'm basically defining an initial certificate. Now this is a big number, and I'm specifying it as one, and then the name, which is some dummy value, and then date time dot now, and the state is in the pending state. Now this is a very simple function to add a certificate. Now in add certificate, what I've done is string ID. Now we have to put memory in front after string for the string data types. So it accepts ID, it accepts data, and it accepts state. Now the data that you can see here is actually the encrypted data of the certificate that is being issued to a student. And in this particular case, I check if the ID of the certificate already exists. If it exists, then it returns the existing certificate in the system. Else, the counter of the certificate is increased by one, and the certificate is then added in the certs structure, right? And then basically in the blockchain block is then created using the entries that is specified by the user. Now in getCert, again, it accepts ID as the input parameter, and then it traverses the entire the blockchain of the cert, and then in the certs, if the ID matches, then it returns that particular struct of the certificate data type with the details in the struct, which is basically ID, encrypted data, created date, and the state. So now, if we want to create a sample entry in this, so let's start with compiling this. Now to save time, I've already compiled the student.sol, uh, and I've to quickly deploy it. So if I just go quickly and deploy it, as you can see, now these are the interfaces that are exposed by this program. Now what I'll go ahead and do is basically I'll put the very first uh, ID here. So let's say I want to put 2, and then in data I have to again ensure that I do not put the data in plain text. So now this is basically how a sample certificate looks like. So it is issued by Bitsplani in the name of Vishal Saxena with this particular roll number and for this particular course type, and the grade is A plus because why not, and then the year is 2022. Now what we do here is basically we encrypt this data, right? Now for future purpose, I'll just save this data. Now I have the encrypted text here. So what I'll go ahead and do is I'll put the encrypted text here. Now this is the encrypted data of my certificate, and I just have to put the state. So in this particular case, the state would be, let's say, pending, and I click on transact. Now, if you see the entry is successfully created. Now, if I want to go ahead and check the number of certificates, as you can see, the number of certificates in the system is now 1. Now, if I want to get the certificate, I'll just have to go ahead and put the certificate value here. So if I put the ID, as you can see, I just get the data out, right? Now, what if I just want to see what the value looks like? So I just have to decrypt this value, right? So uh, in this case, this is the value that we got from the blockchain. Now we'll just click on decrypt text and we have the data back. So this is a very small example of how a solidity solution looks like. This particular piece of code basically creates a contract of certificate type with these attributes and allows you to basically get the count of all the objects in the blockchain and also allows you to add new objects and get the objects as needed. So, thank you.